Good evening, friends. Welcome to Word of Gord. Seem to be well lit tonight. It's not clever of me. And woke up a while ago. It's about 4 in the morning. Ready to explore, or remembering exploring. And as I made a commitment to Bertram Brooker, the Canadian artist, at his retrospective at the McMichael Gallery a while ago, when I felt strong contact with his spirit for a few minutes, and he invited me to, insisted I go and visit him in the astral plane, as he's a fairly enlightened being. He was, even before he passed, experiencing cosmic consciousness, at least a couple of times in his life, and associating with others of a theosophical bent, like Lawren Harris, who were well aware of, karma and reincarnation and the progress of the soul towards unity. So, definite sense of being as close to enlightened as you might want to be at this point. Here's his famous painting, Sounds Assembling. There are many others. And there's a lovely nude I picked at random. And landscapes, many types of paintings. He explored a lot in his life, and explored the relationship of music to art as well. But anyway, that you can research for yourself. And let me try and plug in. Well, he's got the semblance of a studio to welcome me. And he has got a sort of a knowing grin as he looks at me in welcome. He says, you've been here before, but this time you're going to recall, you're going to remember, you're going to spread the word. He has music playing. Sounds like Bach to me, although I'm not sure which piece, even though I'm quite familiar with Bach. JS, that is. It's sort of surround sound as I walk in the studio, which appears to be a building in the forest made out of forest type materials, i.e. wood, branches, leaves, soil. Very much the man in nature, the artist in his element. The entranceway, the lobby, an exotic type of wood paneling with a grain that I am finding difficult to describe, but very radiant, beautiful, sort of vibrates an almost psychedelic fashion. I don't want too many mentions of mushrooms. I don't think that's what he's doing. He says, "Oh yes, I am. I've been watching your generation and your psychedelics. I've been observing that and noticing how it alters perceptions. And I had altered perceptions myself, but usually through, or occasionally through, an immersion in the spirit, a sudden immersion in spirit that is quite well described in some of my notes, and also the works of Morris Buck in his book, or is it Richard Morris Buck? Gordon's not quite getting that right, but his book Cosmic Consciousness, which was a big deal here in North America, Canada and North America, the turn of the century. Lots of artists and intellectuals read it. Okay. I'm following Brooker. He's changing shape as I follow him. He appeared to me as a young man in his prime, and now is aging, and then aging, and then coming back to his prime. I think just for a lark, just for fun. Images on the wood-paneled wall are coming out in a three-dimensional fashion. If I stop and look, that's what they do. They're not responding to a wish or a command. I'm sort of enthralled rather than desiring. And although one is aware that this can be done on the astral plane, on the higher levels, but it seems to be happening in and of itself without me putting out a conscious request. So, landscapes, cloudscapes, mountainscapes, mountains and lakes. Okay, one's moving out now. It's a very, it's not nice to say standard, but it's very much like the northern mountainscapes that various group of 7 artists painted. This is in Brooker's own style, but similar. And as it projects out to me, there's an image of 2 humans in canoes, and it is part of the landscape, and or the seascape if you're talking about lakes. And as it projects close to me, it gets bigger, it doesn't envelop me, but it comes right up to close to my face. The 2 canoeists appear to be moving. It turns into a video. It's essentially what I'm saying. So it was an oil painting, I believe. I didn't ask. He's nodding and going, "Oh yes, it was an oil painting." And the canoeists are moving. And I look and I'm greatly amused and charmed. And a reasonably large painting to begin with, 8 by 10, something like that. Maybe bigger, 12 by 16. There is a small portion of sky at the top with some clouds, and of course the clouds are moving now, slowly, but they're moving. And Bertram chuckles, and it goes back into the wall slowly, and we walk on. There are pedestals with fairly elaborate wooden sculptures. Abstract, but referencing the natural growth of trees, and not just the growth of trees, but how they warp themselves when they are past their maturity and decaying. He's gone to great lengths to capture that decay. And they are static. I don't see any movement on them, but they sure look like wood to me. Decayed wood, dried, decayed, semi-punky wood that you might find in northern Ontario forest if you're tramping through with your canoe to the next lake. Okay, what else do I see? He invites me to sit down on a, perhaps you've seen these here on Earth, I know I've seen them, tree trunks that have been carved into a large hand, a seat that's like a large hand. That is, so variations on that. There's a room with a bunch of hands in it, and you can sit on all of them, and hands in various postures. One in that, the come on with the finger, and others, just flat out. And the one I sit on begins slowly to morph and move and change its underlying shape, like a hand moving in fleshy real time, but slowly, and curving itself up around my hip and thigh a little bit, and then moving away. Very much the caress. Wonderful stuff. Oh. I ask if he has, public displays, days when his place is open, and he says, "Oh yes, I love the teaching, love the demonstrations." So he says, "Come and have a look," and we go to just slightly farther down, and there's a flat area on the wall. Well, all. What I mean is an area without paintings, these 3D paintings. And it's like a big screen. And he sort of nods, and sort of a movie starts. And it's a film of him giving a class in something or other. I'm watching. There's people a few feet away from him. He's standing, gesturing and talking in the film. And I'm not hearing what he's saying in the film, but I guess that's not important. But the students, if they are students, are interested members of the public, listening carefully. He's talking about creating color in your mind, creating texture in the mind, and projecting that successfully onto either some type of canvas, or some other material similar to canvas that is perhaps more available on the astral plane. How to make images grow when you start with a certain combination of colors and textures, and have it grow into what you might like it to be. And as he demonstrates, we're watching the screen, and something is growing, something that looks like an abstraction, but can morph into a recognizable shape and then go back to an abstraction, often the shapes of nature. But he is being playful in this film. It's not real time, it's something that was done some time ago. And images of architecture, porticos, bay windows, arches, are recognizable architectural shapes are coming out of this abstraction and then fading back in. And I think he's demonstrating how that can be done with ease once one has practiced and trained one's mind. Quite marvelous. So I'm watching all this happen, and I'm standing by the screen looking at the students watching him doing this on a screen just beside him, just in front of him. And again, he is verbalizing his thoughts and instructions in the film, but I don't seem to be hearing them, but I'm seeing the results of that. And it's pretty obvious what is being given in as artistic gift, as a creative impulse, trained and projected. This seems fairly sophisticated to me, and these students or interested parties are not complete newbies. They're getting the basic principles and showing the advanced stage of the creative act. They've not done their first painting or first projection. They're well on their way, but learning, of course. Okay, what else? I suppose to some degree, what the various changing and morphing and moving in and out of shape and abstraction is similar to what can be achieved with sophisticated computer animation here on Earth that you may have seen. And let's face it, that's getting pretty sophisticated itself. And but Brooker's showing how it can be done with the brain, the mind. No computers, no artificial intelligence. He's laughing and saying, he turns to me and says, we are artificial intelligence. We're the origin of it. We're the organic intelligence. It's not artificial. Quite proud when he says that, and obviously keeping up with developments on this plane. He goes, oh yes, I pop in from time to time and see what's going on. Oh my goodness, he's saying he's seen that new Coppola film. He says, I'm pretty impressed. He's doing his best, and he's throwing ideas topsy-turvy every 3 minutes in that film. What's it called? Metropolis or something? The one that's just played at Cannes that people are predicting. It's a work of genius or it's an unmitigated disaster. That he dropped in on it. He says, we can do that. Once you learn, you just pop in on an artistic event and watch. And I like to keep in touch, as does Lawren and a lot of the other guys. And as soon as he says guys, he says, and yes, Emily and, the rest, we're not gender specific here. That's a reference to Emily Carr, a wonderful Canadian West Coast painter in her day who was fairly good friends with the group of 7 guys and was accepted as an equal and is still much venerated today. Have a look at her paintings of the West Coast and the forest and the Haida carvings. Quite marvelous. And she's not here right now, but he made that mention. He knows that these gender issues are terribly sensitive and important these days, and he doesn't want anyone to get offended. It's all about art. It's not about dividing people up into schools and groups and I'm watching this movie still, and he's starting to natter about the New York Abstractionist School, which developed pretty much after he passed, although I think there might have been a bit of overlap. And he's saying, boy, do those guys have fun up here. Do they ever? And what's he telling me? You can walk into rooms that are in moving abstractions, like the paintings they did in the 1950s. But it's on all walls, the ceiling and the floor, and it's all going at the same time. He says it kind of looks like it might be a video projection, but it's not. And he says you should check that out sometime. So, right. What else? Yeah, I know he's really big into classical music, and he was when he lived here. And he says, "Well, still am. How can you give up Bach and Mozart and Handel?" And I'm certainly not one to disagree with that. And as we talk, some Bach starts playing again. It faded when I walked in, but it's back again, and it's kind of like the orchestral suites. It might be something he's composed since passing on, but it has a strong resemblance to the suites for orchestra. And I don't know my Bach inside out, but I do know it well. And he's chuckling as he sees me experience this sort of thing. "Isn't this marvelous?" he says. And I say, "Yes, it is, Bertram. I'm so glad you talked me into coming back again. As you say, I was here once before, but astral experiences can fade if you don't record them, and mine certainly have. That's why I put the Lawren Harris one and the Salvador Dali one and others into my memoir so that they would not be forgotten. That's the Moving Through Many Dimensions memoir, as I'm doing now. Moving through many dimensions. What a pleasure this is. So you'll be getting ready to go back to base, Bertram says. And I said, well, yeah, I'm working on your book. I'm reading a couple of the novels that you wrote while living on Earth. And they go, well, child's play. I was just touching the hem of the divine at that point. But I'm well wrapped in it now. And I advise all your listeners to do likewise any chance they get. And they can do it while still on Earth. They don't have to come here, although, boy, it sure helps when you come here. But get ready for the sublime. Get ready for the multidimensional mysteries, because they are coming at you. This is him saying this. I'm hearing it in my head. Well, thank you, Bertram. This has been so much fun, and I hope the audience is fully appreciating the the richness behind the poverty of my wordy description. It's not a movie, but I wish it was. And one of these days, it will be. So, I shake his hand. I thank him. I said, God bless you. May the joy of creation surround you. Onward and upward. And I walk out. And I do a kind of an instant transfer. This gets easier as you experience these things. And I'm back here. And thank you for your interest and patience. And we'll see you later.